we are.
Yeah,
in the greatest city of all time, Houston, Texas. We gonna have some. I have a feeling we're gonna joke around a little bit today. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Still Saved show. And yes, I'm still saved. I might be out there wilding a little bit, but I am still saved. Where we sit down with some of the coolest, dopest individuals who have some of the most remarkable stories of change and transformation. And some tells me that we got a story.
Come on.
Maybe several stories up the sleeve.
Let's get it.
I love it, man. So I'm sitting here with Ramon Chinyoung. I practiced that a few times.
Appreciate you. You did a great job. Great
job. I did it. I nailed it. I nailed it, man. You should have seen me in the restroom in the mirror. Chinyoung. Young Chinyoung. Nah. I love it. Now, I really believe that people's names are important.
Yeah.
Which is why I practice pronouncing them correctly, whether I get it right or not. They can see the effort.
Oh, yeah.
Because, that's a part of your identity.
Oh, yeah.
And I respect that.
Yeah, and it's also attached to your purpose, right?
Come on.
It's so valuable to, ensure that there's quality behind your name because that purpose is your everything, right? It's ultimately, what we strive for on a daily basis, which is to ultimately fulfill our purpose, to do the necessary things that God has, put us here to do. And so, you got to be appreciative of that, man. You got to go get it, man. That name is everything, baby.
Yeah, man.
It's
That's what I'm talking about, man. Yes, man. We already get started, man.
Come on, man.
Look, we ain't got no time to waste, man. But so you're also the assistant offensive line coach for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
All right. So a lot of my followers are probably gonna be upset that I'm sitting down with somebody from the Cowboys, but it's all good.
Let's make them proud. in the good name of the good Lord.
But he is from Houston, though. He is from Houston.
From H-Town.
Listen, let's go ahead and give him his props. Nah, man, we got love for the Cowboys. The Texans looking pretty good this year.
Yeah, they got a good squad, man. We got a good squad. We got a great squad, but they got a good squad. We
ain't gonna incriminate you too much.
Come on.
So what is that like, though, man? Working in sports at the highest level, right? Professional sports. What kind of pressure are you under? And what's it like being in that world?
Man, I definitely say it's humbling, right? It's humbling because, it's in the National Football League or in any professional sport at the highest level, right? We call it the 1%. Like, no matter what, it has nothing to do with age. It has everything to do with the experience.
Come on.
Right? And so, like a young man like myself, I'm 36, my third year in the National Football League. I'm a baby, right? I'm coaching guys that 32, 33, but they've been in the National Football League for 11, 12 years. And so it's humbling. It's a constant reminder of there's always more to learn. There's always a better way and a new way to serve. And I know we're going to dive into that.
Yeah.
But man, I would say no pressure.
Yeah.
I would say no pressure. I would say, though, it exposes a lot of fleshly deficiencies that we may have in thinking that we can do things on our own. And going back to that humbling experience, it will humble you and ensure that you lean on God in your most challenging moments. Yeah. And I've experienced that firsthand.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I've got a question for you at the end that I can tell. I kind of want to jump to it now.
Come on.
But man, tell me a little bit, man, that journey to the National Football League. Growing up in Houston.
Yeah.
What was that like? Yeah. And was this always on the radar?
Man, I like many previous former athletes, I wanted to play football in the National Football League, right? I just, in my heart, I knew I was going to make it, right? So from the north side of Houston, played at Westfield High School, very dominant. We only lost 3 games.
Where's this humbling nature you talking about? Like,
no, just in the past, before I found Jesus, and so, man, we had a lot of fun, a lot of success. Yeah. Ultimately, I, like so many of my teammates, bought into the coaching staff and to a lot of their teachings, and man, was able to do something that hasn't been done in my family and earn a full scholarship to Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Let's go.
To make my mother proud. I grew up in a single parent home, just me and mama, and it was a challenging life. We lived through struggle. Before I graduated high school, I probably lived in at least 8 different apartments. Remember those long walks? Just mom working 2 or 3 jobs. You know how that is. I mean, I used to work at Celebration Station for my Houston folks.
I remember that
on the race course. Just trying to make it happen. And man, went to college. Was a 4-year letterman. Truly believed I had a chance to go to the National Football League, man. I truly believed.
What position you play?
Center. I was a big boy. I was a big boy.
They say the center is the smartest person on the field.
The center is the quarterback of the offensive line.
Come on.
Right? So now, being in the National Football League, I will tell you there is a lot that's on the quarterback's plate.
Yeah.
But the center is right there neck and neck. And the relationship between them two has to be amazing.
Yeah.
So that there is another story in itself.
Yeah, I bet you that'll preach in a lot of different ways.
Oh yeah, it's another story in itself, man. Just being willing to serve, understanding that, your way may not be the best way, but ultimately it's our way. How can we both accomplish what goal or task that we may have, at hand? But man, so 4-year letterman, met my college sweetheart. True story. Ultimately, you never know how God may impact your life, right?
Right.
And so my wife and I went to the same elementary school, same middle school, same high school, but we didn't meet until college.
That's crazy.
So we're in all the same yearbooks, right? And I'm not talking about small school, right? Like, some Texas towns, I mean, I graduated with 1,000 in my class in high school, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, just ultimately, man, just God just ordered our steps throughout our entire life, man, so that we could finally
know each other until college.
Didn't know each other. She said she heard my name one time on the announcements. when they announced that, hey, here's the athletes got their scholarship going to college type of deal. But met my college sweetheart and, man, found and built a relationship with God. I truly was saved, I would say, in college, just walking that personal journey. And we'll dive into that. But then, man, when I finished up, football ultimately just didn't happen for me. And my oldest son was getting ready to be born, RJ, Ramon Chinyoung II. And man, I chased ball a little bit. I went to the United Football League before it folded, and Arena Football League, and I said, is this ultimately for me, right? Like I'm chasing something, but am I being selfish, right? Do I have a little bit of selfish ambition chasing ball and not trying to set up something for my son when I grew up in a single parent home with no father? So because of that, I said, you know what? It's best to do right by my family, by my young family.
Yeah.
And
pause right there, though, man.
Yeah.
Was that a difficult decision? Because
it was.
It's a noble decision, right? People always say, all right, I'm going to make this sacrifice for my kids and for my family. I've had to do it on a number of occasions.
Yeah.
But talk to me about how hard, even though you know why you're doing it, right, for your family, but how hard is that still to let go of this childhood dream to do something that you know is ultimately the right thing to do? Yeah,
it was definitely extremely hard, but I will tell you, God ensured that I was in an uncomfortable situation to make that step easy, right? It was hard on the flesh,
right.
Because I didn't want to let it go, right? I was chasing it, right? From almost making pennies. Like I didn't want to let the dream go with the mindset that maybe this is what God has for me, right? I was the young man that told my mom, hey, Mom, I'm gonna get you out the hood.
Come on.
I'm gonna do everything I can to where you don't have to work 3 jobs anymore, maybe just 2, maybe just 1. You don't have to work anymore, right? So I didn't want to let go of that because there was a sense of, well, I failed my mother, right? Or then ultimately, if this is what God had for me, then I'll also let God down by not accomplishing what I felt like he had put on me.
Wow,
And it was hard from a fleshly standpoint, but he made it so easy because I was so uncomfortable, right? I was so uncomfortable because I was put through certain trials and tribulations, and I had no idea to consider it pure joy. It was a challenge in that time. I was in pain.
Don't nobody want the verse sounds good.
It sounds real good.
But don't nobody want to experience trial and tribulation and count it pure joy.
Pure joy, right?
Pure joy. Right now this hurts.
It's painful. And man, he made a way for me to experience joy in another way. And so what took place was I got injured.
Gotcha.
Right, I had a high ankle sprain. And I was sent home back to Houston where I had to do some rehabilitation. And during that time, I went back to my local high school, Westfield High School, and I would watch those guys work out. And I just got a bug one day and I asked the head football coach at the time, I said, hey, do you mind if I say something? And in that moment, I had no idea what I spoke about. And I'm sure at that time, man, I was, dropping curse words left and right, just being young, thinking it's all about, you lose sight of what the ultimate goal is, which is to truly impact young lives.
Yeah.
And, but I spoke to him, and at the end of that conversation, I kid you not, I walked away and I said, man, something just feels different.
Yeah.
Right? Like something in that moment that I shared with those student athletes just feels like I should be doing this. And so I prayed on it. And ultimately, like I said, he made it easy, man. I was able to walk away and step away, just tell my agent, hey, I ain't coming back, hey, that's as far as I can go. And start volunteering coaching at my high school for a year. I remember not even having a vehicle. I used to run 3.5, 4 miles every day just with a backpack on just to get to work.
So you got one of those 70-year-old man stories.
Oh,
I
man.
Yeah, like Papa used to tell us.
What?
Like,
But no, seriously,
I used
man.
to walk to school 5 miles in the snow.
Look, just grind it. Just grind it.
Don't
But
snow in Houston. So I know I hear you talk about some snow. I know you lying.
No, ain't no snow. Ain't no snow. It was definitely hot. It was
hot.
definitely hot. There were definitely times where I had, you be walking and blinking and running and saying, Lord, is this it?
Ain't no
like, I don't know if
tears
I'm gonna
coming
make
out.
it.
I don't even have no sweat. It's so hot. Like,
But no, man, I ultimately, what kept you even going in those moments was just, I felt like I was walking towards purpose.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that purpose may be, but I felt like having those influential conversations with those young men, hopefully guiding them like I was guided, right, could positively impact them in some way, some fashion. And so I felt like even in a small task like that, I was walking or moving towards my purpose. And so volunteer coach for a year, started coaching in 2012 full-time, and then
full-time at the high school?
At the high school, yeah, full-time at the high school. I was a high school football coach from 2012 to 2022, so for 10 years. And then I made the leap to the National Football League. And so first year was with the Denver Broncos, and then now I'm going into my second year with the Dallas Cowboys.
Man, that's crazy. Yeah, I'm glad you kind of like gave me the timeline too, like just to let folks know that it's not like, oh, I woke up one day and I wanted to, coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, what is that transition? Because like you said, it's the 1%ers. Right?
Yeah.
That's not an opportunity that many people are afforded with.
Yeah.
Even people who have played in the league,
Yeah.
right? And it's like some of them still don't even reach that level as a coach or in some fashion. Like, how did that opportunity
present itself?
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, and you know this, man, you never know how God may impact others' lives.
There you go.
That ultimately will impact your life. And so, short and sweet, man. My high school offensive line coach, his name is Chris Morgan. Great man. He coached me for 2.5 years. He got there in the spring and then coached me my junior year, my senior year.
Yeah.
And he came from Colorado, played ball there, big dude, huge man, and didn't know much about his background, just the simple fact of, hey, he was my coach.
Yeah.
He did everything he can to help me, and the only question he would ever ask, how's your mama? Hey, how's your mom? Everything good at home? Yes, sir. All right, now let's get back to work.
Yeah.
And so I built a relationship with him, and ultimately, again, he helped me take the necessary steps to earn a full scholarship. There was nothing else that I can ask of him, right?
Yeah.
And so years later, right? So I'm at Southern. Let me paint this picture. I'm at Southern University as a student athlete. A guy by the name of Justin Outen. I'm actually wearing his little brother's bachelor hat. He's getting married in July 7th.
I see it.
My family and I just flew in from Tennessee, where we got a chance to celebrate him, and he'll be getting married here in Houston to his lovely wife Morgan.
You got
so,
DJ yet?
Hey man, look, I'll put in the word for you. I got you now.
At this point, though, they should have a DJ by now.
They should. But if not,
I know some folks.
God will open up some doors now at any moment, any time. Just be ready.
Be ready. Listen, the turn up is real.
The turn up is real. But so the guy by the name of Justin Outen, he leaves Syracuse University. He was a GA. Becomes Chris Morgan's assistant O-line coach in high school. Right now, a lot of people will leave either a small time like a D2, D3 college football job or a GA job and come to Texas. Why?
Yeah.
Because Texas pays well. They value football. They value sports, and they take care of coaches. And so a lot of people will leave those places of interest and then come to Texas to start a life.
Okay.
And so that's what took place. Justin Outen came. He became Chris Morgan's assistant offensive line coach. And then in, I'd say 2008, Chris Morgan, right, had a guy that brought him to the NFL. So he was actually the person that built the bridge. He worked for a guy named Tom Cable, and who ended up getting the head football job in the NFL and brought him on. Well, when I graduated college and I started volunteering, I became Justin Alton's assistant O-line coach.
Okay.
Well, we just so happen to both have Chris Morgan in common. Chris Morgan brings him on to the Atlanta Falcons in 2016. And then Justin Alton, when he became the offensive coordinator of the Denver Broncos in 2020, brought me on.
Yeah.
So ultimately, an O-line family. Started at Westfield High School, but it blossomed from there.
It's just it just proves the sentiment that it's not always what you know, but it's who you know.
Always.
And always, you know, what is this? I heard somebody say, man, success moves at the speed of relationships.
Yeah.
Friend of mine, Kiati, says that all the time.
Yeah.
And that's crazy, man. That's crazy. I've got two more things to ask you, man, before we wrap up.
Okay.
And I ask everybody this, right?
Okay.
I sit down with some really, really cool people who have experienced, you know, some you know, like crazy success. And, and I'm always interested to know that, like, how has your faith propelled you or contributed to the success that you have? Because I mean, listen, man, you're a smart guy, right? Like I'm sure like you can experience success based on your knowledge, maybe your connections, you know. But I'm interested to know like the success that your money couldn't buy you this opportunity. You feel me? Like your connections couldn't open up this door. Like talk to me a little bit about how your faith has helped you navigate through some of the success that you now have.
Man, you know, the only thing I would say is through faith, you find that God has equipped you with the necessary tools that you may need, that you may not even know that you have.
Come on.
And so, for example, man, my first time having an opportunity to speak in front of a room in the National Football League, I've done it many years, right? 10 years at the high school level, pouring into the student athletes, motivating them, whatever the case may be. Well, my first time stepping in front of an organization, like, I mean, and it's not just the team, it's the GM, you know, the owner, you know, just everybody's in the room. You're nervous, you know.
It's like an Eminem record, palms is sweaty.
You know, I mean, just, you know, luckily there was no vomit on the sweater already, mom's spaghetti, you know, but man, in that moment, you take a deep breath, you remember the journey, you remember where your strength comes from, which is the good Lord, and you just go, you know, and you just move. And you realize when you walk away and you step away, you take a deep breath, you realize, man, how did that happen? Like, how was I even comfortable in that setting, in that situation? And there's no answer but God, right? And he's equipped you with something that allows you to move others in a setting that you may not necessarily be equipped for, but he equips you in those moments. And so ultimately, that's how my faith is moved, is just understanding, look, I may not even be comfortable in this setting, but allow God to move through me, because ultimately I'm here for a purpose and for a reason.
Man, that's powerful, man. Last thing, man, before we go, I love a good sports analogy. Right? And I love listening to like football coaches, ex-NFL players, like, and they get up and they give like a powerful, like, motivational message or a sermon.
The group.
Listen, man, I need you to give me your best football metaphor. You almost did it earlier with the centerpiece, right? But I need you to like hold me down, just for me, man. Just for kicks and giggles, man. I want to hear like your best sports metaphor. You could take, you know, connect it to God in some form or fashion. If you had to preach a sermon or speak to a group of young people and talk about how dope God is, but you had to use football as a frame of reference, what would you tell them?
Oh, okay. You taking me back to my high school days.
Come on.
So there's a parable, right? There's a story of two farmers, and there's a drought, right? No rain. Both farmers, both athletes are given the same playing field, right? Which farmer is going to prepare his harvest for rain? Now, there has been no rain, right? Now, when you think about preparation, you're talking about putting in work. You're talking about the training, the weight room, the weightlifting, the running, the stretching, the mental side of the preparation, the studying. Which farmer is willing to put in the necessary work to prepare his harvest for rain, so that the day it does rain, they're prepared? Well, ultimately, there's two farmers. There's one who says, you know what, I'm going to take the initiative and go ahead and put in work, even though I see no rain, right? There's another farmer that says, you know what, man, I'm gonna just chill, I'm gonna wait on the rain. Well, ultimately, when it rains, there was only one farmer who was prepared. There was only one farmer who was prepared. So in my mind—
hold on, so go back to that part where you said ultimately when it rains.
Ultimately, when it rains, right? Ultimately, when it rains, there was only one farmer who was prepared, because again, one farmer did nothing. He waited, right, for that blessing, for that opportunity. There was another farmer who said, although I may not see it now, I'm still going to put in the work. That same metaphor carries over to student athletes or any athlete, right? You have to continuously put in consistent quality work in everything that it is that you do. Whenever that day may come, as far as that blessing that you're trying to accomplish, that ultimate goal, a championship, to be the starter, to be an all-pro athlete, whatever that may be, right? Although it may not have happened yet, the question is, which farmer are you going to be? Are you going to be the guy that puts in the work, or are you going to be the one that says, you know what, I'm going to wait and see what happens? And so I would challenge every athlete, every person, everyone out there, man, just to put in the work and knowing and trusting that God's going to send the rain on his time.
I love it, man. Dude, appreciate you, Ramon, for coming through.
Yes, sir.
You have almost made a Cowboy fan out of me. Almost.
Come on, man.
You've made watching them a little bit more palatable.
Okay, good.
Right? You know.
Okay, good.
Still a Texans fan.
Hey, it's all right. It's all about planting the seed. It's all about planting the seed. It's not on us to allow the seed to grow. Good Lord.
Let everybody know how we can stay tapped in with you, man. And stay connected.
Man, I only have one social media platform. I'm on Twitter, Chinyoung, at Twitter, Chinyoung at Twitter. I do have LinkedIn, but ultimately that's the same deal as Ramon Chinyoung. You can find me there. And for those out there that have my cell phone number, won't give it to you right now, but if you do have it, it's never changed because I want everybody to be able to reach out to me. I appreciate you.
You are a special individual
Yes,
if you
sir.
have that form of contact.
Yes,
well, man, Ramon, appreciate you for coming through, man.
Appreciate you.
Going down. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next week.